Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Work, Love TV. I'm so grateful that you're taking a moment out of your day and joining me, and I hope that this serves you as we pause, revisit, reflect, and practice. This afternoon, I guess when I was thinking about our practice and what I wanted to share with you, not practice, but pause, I would like to do a breathing exercise that I've kind of nicknamed the space in between, giving us a moment of pause to essentially listen. And so what we're going to do is breathe from the belly. So we'll take a deep breath in, we'll fill the belly, but then we're going to hold it. And we'll do it for 5 counts. And then we will exhale it out. During those 5 counts while you're holding, and I'll give the cue to release, I want you to just settle and listen. Listen to the silence, listen to your surroundings, and see what might be shared, okay? So go ahead and get settled in your seat. Go ahead and take your first breath in, filling the belly. And then go ahead and hold, listening. And release, emptying out the belly. Go ahead and inhale again, filling the belly, holding, and releasing. Inhale, hold, listen, and exhale. Now let's try to increase that count to 10, if you can do so comfortably. So let's go ahead and take an inhalation in, expand the belly, and hold. Release. Inhale, hold, release. Inhale, hold, release. Now I invite you to go ahead and do 3 more breaths, holding at your comfort level and listening. When you're finished, you can go ahead and let your breath return back to normal. When you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back. All right, so let's revisit our prompt from last week. So last week we started using Crazy Sexy Love Notes by Miss Chris Carr. And the card that revealed itself was Believe. It's this beautiful card with the unicorn. And the love note shared, there's magic all around you. Open up to the wonders of the universe. Notice the connections and synchronicities. Follow your feelings and believe with all your heart. We successfully manifest our dreams when our feelings are in alignment with our plans. From that sacred union, the right ideas that take shape, the best relationships blossom, and the stuff that's meant to be easily falls into place. Everything is possible. So the challenge that we left with last week was finding some synchronicities, paying attention to synchronicities. And so I'm happy to report that I had several. Mine happened to be in the form of books. I've been doing a lot of reading. The first episode happened last week, but we have a podcast at Leadership Arts Associates called the Heart of It Podcast. During the summer, which I know it's not technically summer, but we're heading there. We do a book club on the podcast, and that started. We actually do all the episodes at the same time. So I'm actually reading 3 different books and hosting 3 different book club discussions a week so we can have those episodes in the queue and then just run them all summer. The Slight Edge is the first book that we're doing, and that book has already had its first episode come out this past week from that discussion. So talking about the Slight Edge, one of the really interesting things about the Slight Edge, which is where I experienced one of my major synchronicities this past week, is the Slight Edge has been in my life since probably 2013. It was a book. It's still one of my favorite books out there. But I haven't read it maybe in the last 2 or 3 years. There's a couple concepts that I teach routinely, but I haven't actually read the book. I usually do reread it maybe every other year, but I've kind of had a Slight Edge hiatus. Not saying it's not still a part of my life, but a Slight Edge hiatus. So being and going through it and processing this book, being in a different place, because predominantly for the last 2 years now, I've been studying energy and Chinese medicine. I was a little nervous that maybe the Slight Edge would not resonate with me as much. And so right towards the end of the first, we read 10 pages a day for a week. So literally on page 67, so right at the end of the first 70 pages that we were assigned, Jeff Olson, who wrote the Slight Edge book, actually has a quote in here from a Chinese philosopher and writer, Lao Chao. And here's the quote that's in there. The highest good is like water. It gives life to 10,000 things. That's ancient Chinese for everything in the universe, yet does not compete with them. It flows in places that the mass of people detest, and therefore it is close to the Tao. I like that. It flows in places the mass people detest. In other words, most people don't get it. They don't grasp the power of the quiet thing. Water, which the scientists call the universal solvent, is a time-honored metaphor for time. And you could plug the word time into the verse and it would work just as well. Time is like water. It gives life to everything and flows in places most people just don't get. You could also plug in the phrase, the Slight Edge. This really just kind of brought things full circle for me for a couple different reasons. Not only is it quoting a writer and philosopher that I've been studying, who's been embedded in the works that I've been studying for the last 2 years, it also directly ties a Slight Edge to this concept of water. And specifically, I've been doing studies on the elements and talking about elemental personalities, or there's a belief that we have a dominant personality in an element. And as I've done that work, I've discovered that I am a water element. And so That quote hit me on very different levels, but also provided a level of reassurance. So that was one thing that I wanted to share with you, because I think when we talk about synchronicities, they can happen at 3 different levels. They can happen there, where it's almost an affirmation to let you know that you should not regret something that's happened in the past, or where you are currently in your path. But the other way that they also do is bringing your attention to the significance of something. So there's another book that's in the book club is Untamed by Glennon Doyle. So I've been reading that actively. See, I have all these books with all these notes all over the place. And this is actually kind of my reading recording room that we're in right now during the quarantine state. But there is a passage that I highlighted in a chapter in her book called Arms. In the chapters called Arms in her book, that really was kind of one of my main, I shouldn't say takeaways, but it was a passage that really moved me. It was just really beautiful. And it was when she first sees her wife for the first time. And so here's exactly from the book. It says, "Suddenly a woman is standing where nothingness used to be. She takes up the entire doorway, the entire room, the entire universe. She has short hair, platinum on top, shaved on the sides. She's wearing a long trench coat, a red scarf, a warm half smile, cool steel confidence. She stands there for a moment, taking inventory of the room. I stare at her and take inventory of my entire life." And here's my favorite part. "My whole being says, there she is. Then I lose control of my body. I stand up and open my arms wide." So getting caught up in this moment that she is lost in and fully present in, she extends her arms in the middle of this party. And then obviously her love of her life that she is just meeting for the first time kind of looks at her kind of silly, but getting lost in that moment. And at the same time, I've been reading Claire of Assisi, A Heart Full of Love, which is more so for my own personal development. I've been studying some of the saints, but there is a passage in there where St Clair likes to link God's love to poverty. And I'm not going to go down a God path, but there's a passage in there that talks about the significance of an embrace. And when we feel comfortable to embrace another, to extend our arms out, we are making ourselves vulnerable. We are asking that person to come and complete us in some fashion. Not maybe this grand gesture of what you're hearing in the first book, but there is this idea of, I'm welcoming you in. I'm making space for you in my little world. And so that I thought is interesting. And so sometimes the synchronicities draw attention to something that you want to pay attention. This responds to me because I do struggle with vulnerability with other people, and opening up. And when I extend my arms to embrace, it has a high significance. And these passages and these quotes kind of put these beautiful structure around the significance that was there. So that's number 2. So sometimes it's showing the significance that's there. Sometimes it's affirming. The last one, I don't really know what the intent is, except that it just shows the beauty of life, of where you came from and where you're going, and just having a true appreciation for the moment. So this morning I finished the first draft of my next book called The HR Intuitive. It's 33 lessons on awakening your inner guide, and I'm really pumped about it. At the same time, I've been recording the audio version for my first book, From Heart to Heart, that I wrote in 2017 and it was released in 2018. I don't sit around and reread my books, so I haven't really read it in its entirety. Sometimes I reference it for passages when I'm doing speaking engagements, but this is the first time where I've been sitting down for the last 3 days and at least half an hour a day recording episodes for the podcast so we can put out the audio version of the book that we'll do in September. Hint, it's my gift that I'm giving away in September. But it's been really humbling to be taken back. And, one of the things that I love about, this is the first time I've been exposed to Glennon Doyle, and I highly, highly encourage this book. This book is fabulous. But one of the things that, as I've kind of followed her on social media, and she references all of her books as kind of a memoir, and Dr. Brene Brown does this too. You see the evolution of yourself in your writing works. And that's one of those beautiful things that's captured in a moment of time. My books, because they deal a lot with sharing where I am personally and my own personal development, it logs a lot of that. It's probably as good as having a diary. The newest book is going to be the same way. And so being taken back to see the pivotal moments in my life at that time that I felt compelled to share, after just finishing 33 lessons of sharing the most compelling moments right now that I want to share, it's just a level of gratitude for the path that I've been on, the journey that I've been on, the person I've evolved to is pretty incredible. So 3 powerful synchronicities that have shown up this week. I would love to hear how they've been showing up for you. You can share them in the chat box and the comments down below. You can also go to the blog on the leadershipishart.com website and comment there and share with us the synchronicities that you've experienced. But the whole idea about these synchronicities is to be open and knowing that we don't have to force things. Things will fall into place naturally that are meant to happen. Doesn't mean that we don't have to try and we don't have to work hard, but we're not jamming a square peg into a circular hole. It is, it's a square peg going into a square hole, but maybe we have to work at guiding it there and getting it through the hole. And that's something that has been a really powerful lesson that I've learned. It took me a long time to learn it. And I still struggle. I still have to find myself when I'm frustrated. I ask myself, am I forcing this? And if I am, I make myself hit the pause button. I push the project aside until I can revisit it with more of a neutral viewpoint. All right, so it's time for our new prompt. So, should have got these cards sooner. So let's get these beautiful cards out. So excited. See what the next love note is. I have to close my eyes because these are all really beautifully painted. The messages are on the backs of the cards. So otherwise, I feel like I'm cheating and I'm pulling one that I want to. All right. So this is the newest card. Ooh. Let's see if I can get closer. Compassion for all. Compassion is the beating heart of all spiritual practices. The peace you seek comes from the peace you create. Extend your compassion to all beings today, including yourself. Everyone benefits when you are kind. May all beings be happy and free. So, I want to talk about synchronicities. As I was finishing up my reading assignment for the Slide Edge today, there's a whole chapter in there talking about the secret of happiness. And one of them is doing an act of kindness every day. This could be extending gratitude by sending a thank you note. And so my challenge to you is to attempt to do an act of kindness every day for the next week. And let's see how we feel next week, I guess. Let's see where it goes. Let's see what that habit kind of instills. Because at the core of all spiritual practices is this peace. There's I'm a student of A Course in Miracles, and there is a passage in there that shares that basically spirit lives with peace. And the ego thrives off war and conflict. So it's peace that is our spiritual place of serenity. It's our spiritual home. And war and conflict is more so a tactic for our ego to survive. And so I think that's a really beautiful reminder. So we're going to move into our practice for today. We've done this practice before. A couple of times, I think, but it's one that I need today, and because I need it, and I'm hosting, I can do it, I guess. But we're going to do the healing sound for fear. We're going to inhale and imagine filling our kidneys, which we can reach from the front, but they're back here, filling them with a navy blue color. And then we're going to exhale out with a foo sound. So, and just feeling that vibration internally to release fear of the future. And I think that, I'm feeling called to practice the sound of fear because I think it's something that we're all kind of experiencing a little bit. So we're going to do this 9 times. And you can do this inaudibly too if you don't feel comfortable making the sound. I like to have just the regular tone of sound because I can feel the gentle vibration. It feels really nice. Okay, so here we go. Go ahead and take your first breath in slowly. Hold briefly, and when you're ready, once you're finished, take a few deep breaths, just filling the kidneys with a navy blue color. When you're ready, you can go ahead and open your eyes. And thank you so much for joining me today. Happy Work Love Wednesday. And I hope this pause, revisit, reveal, and practice served you. I'll see you next week.